Good morning, Inspiring Illuminators. It is me, Jennifer Engel, CEO and founder of Inspiring Illuminate. It's 5:05 here on a Thursday morning in Illinois. And technically, in 10 minutes, as the sun is supposed to rise, there's supposed to be a partial eclipse. But to be honest, I don't think I'm going to be able to see it because where I am, the sun rises, it rises in the east no matter where you are. But the east for me has lots of houses, so I don't think I'll be able to see it. And in some aspects, that's kind of fitting to my quote of the day and my Jaunt with Jen. So my quote of the day is that no pain, no gain. But if there's too much pain, then there is no gain either. Now, this came from hearing my husband say it to our son, who's going through COVID shot 2 reactions. But you also hear this a lot with exercise as well. 3 days ago, I went to the gym. And, I kind of go through like these cycles where I do really well taking care of my physical health. And then winter comes and I hibernate a little bit. And I atrophy a little bit, and then spring comes, and then I gotta do the work of getting back in shape again, right? Well, there's some times where, another quote, go home or go hard or go home. And I do push myself, maybe more than others, but not as much as others. I have like this nice balance in the middle. But sometimes when I push myself, as I'm sure you can relate, you end up kind of sore, right? And so it was like, I didn't think I pushed myself that much. But then, I really had couldn't use my legs for 3 days. And so I rested them. Because if I didn't rest them, I would really injure them, and then I wouldn't be able to use them for even longer. Which goes with my last 2 quotes and Jaunts with Jen over the last, not yesterday, because I didn't do a Jaunt with Jen yesterday, but Monday and Tuesday's Jaunts, right? That we need to get comfortable in the uncomfortable, but we also need to have these places and spaces of rest and healing. So, upon further reflection, this also applies to people who've been through trauma, okay? I love how schools and now maybe even communities are becoming trauma-informed. So basically what that means is that trauma really affects people well into their adult lives. Whether they experienced it as children or young adults and young men and women, it actually affects them for a long time over time. So that kind of goes with the quote, no pain, no gain, but if there is too much pain, there is not any gain either. Okay? It's kind of interesting. I'm seeing signs around our local park letting the community know that our schools in our community are becoming trauma-informed. Schools are realizing how much trauma impacts a child's learning or their behavior when they're in school. And even in the media, I was watching a show and the character in there was told she had post-traumatic stress disorder. And she kind of blew it off at first. She's like, but I can't have trauma. I can't have post-traumatic stress because I grew up in a privileged home. But even in privileged homes, privileged people can still experience trauma behind closed doors. Trauma doesn't discriminate. Pain doesn't discriminate. Now, with that said, it can show up more prevalent in places that experience poverty which reminds me of another quote. It's easier to raise a healthy child than fix a broken adult. But even when I think about this quote, it depends on the child being raised, as well as the education and experience level of the person raising that child. So the first part of that quote, of that statement, it is easier to raise a healthy or an unbroken child, could be false. It's not easy. I am a parent, and I've talked to many other parents. I remember talking to some parents in my neighborhood a while back, and these were like PTA, super involved community parents, and one of them was confessing to me. She's like, I was talking with some other parents, and we were basically talking about how we screw up the first one because we're still learning how to be parents with them. So, what's the solution? How do we not break people? How do we not put people through too much pain? Or if people have been through pain, what is the solution to experience post-traumatic growth and not just post-traumatic stress? Because I actually did experience it. I experienced a lot of trauma, medical trauma, when I was a child. And then I experienced trauma, medical trauma, as an adult when I went through cancer treatment. And that broke me. I experienced post-traumatic stress for like 5 years, and I took it out on my hair. If you go back and you look at my pictures, I did my own hair. People, and part of it was anger, I was going through something, and I felt like people wanted me to just go back to normal as quickly as possible so they could feel comfortable around me. And that made me angry. People would ask, when are you going to grow out your hair? And that made me angry because I thought it was like, when are you going to look normal so I can not feel uncomfortable around you? And I think that's how we feel around a lot of people who've experienced trauma, who might look different, act different, behave differently. We want them to just go back to normal, be normal as soon as possible. But recovery takes time, and it takes support, and it takes understanding. And that's what leads me to my solutions. How do we prevent pain and or help someone get through past pain and trauma? For me, the first solution is education. Teach them, show them, it's okay. You're kind of screwed up or whatever because you've been through trauma. And that's kind of like, it validates their experience. And then we give hope, right? We say, but because you've been through pain, there are coping strategies. There are things that you can do to heal from it. You don't have to hang on to that pain if you don't want to. Okay? So first is education. All right. And then also, on the other side of that coin, if people haven't been through pain, we can teach them proactive skills, right? So if they are a parent, some parents take parenting classes, okay, in order to try not to break their child as much as possible, right? So we can learn, or, on a more physical level, if you're going to go exercise, you can learn what to do to prevent injury and pain, right? So to me, the first solution is education. So, for example, and then the next one would be what education calls wraparound services. So the first thing, and I'm going to probably talk about, because this is more what I talk about, how people can kind of help themselves. You know, it's kind of interesting. I can't remember. Like, I don't know if like there's this common thing where like, hey, let's take care of each other. But you know, in the past, who takes care of who has actually been pretty skewed. You know, if you think about past history, a lot of times it's women taking care of everyone around them. And then they burn out and they get sick and people wonder why. And because I have so many medical issues, I'm like, you know what, to people like around me, it is hard just taking care of myself. And I heard another quote a while back that is like, can you take care of you for me? Like, if we can just take care of ourselves, then we're going to be able to be a much better member of the teams and society that we're in, right? If one person is carrying all the load, they're going to get tired, they're going to get burnt out, they're not going to be able to do it. But if each person on the team, whether that's a family or a workplace space or a community, takes a piece of that load to carry, then they can travel together farther and further, right? And then nobody gets tired or burnt out. In fact, maybe they get a little stronger. Have you ever noticed the difference between like just walking, and then I've actually seen this at the gym, or if you think about it in schools, people walking with a backpack that might have a weight to it, right? Or I've actually seen people walk around the track at the gym with dumbbells in their arms or weights around their ankles. Because if you have a little weight to you, not too much, you actually get a little stronger, right? So the first part is education, and then the second part is kind of like really taking care of yourself so that we can become more like puzzle pieces. If you take care of yourself, then you will have more energy and things like that to first help yourself and then help those around you. Now, when it comes to preventing pain physically, we're going to do the things that the doctors have always been telling us to do. This is preventative, right? Being proactive. Rest. Take your medicine. This is something I was telling my son yesterday, and it was something that I learned after having a cesarean, and then something I was reminded of after I was going through cancer treatment. For some reason, I love to be portrayed as like this tough woman. No, I can take the pain, bring it on. But I soon learned that if you are in too much pain, you can't heal as quickly. Okay, that was something that I learned. So I learned, don't be tough, take your meds, prevent the pain, and then you will actually be able to recover more quickly. So rest, take your meds. If you need to, get help from a doctor. Be proactive rather than retroactive. Eat well, get sleep, exercise, drink lots of water, take care of yourself, right? All right, so there we go. But then, mentally, how do you prevent pain mentally? Again, I believe a lot in education. Learn. Rest. practice reflection, mindfulness, meditation, and visualization. So one of the things that I've been encouraging people to do is, we sleep, we eat, we brush our teeth, but so few people do not do mental floss, if you will. Do not take time daily to reflect what's in their mind and to either ask themselves questions and or reflect. So for example, every morning I wake up and I reflect. What happened on the past 24 hours? What was good? What was not good? And then I make some time to do some visualization. Or I can continue the reflection. So the things that didn't go good, I can literally close my eyes and play it like a videotape in my head, become the editor, hit delete, and then I'm thinking about how did I want that interaction to go instead? Okay, and then I insert that, and then I play the new reel in my head over and over again, or until I get bored. You can also practice this throughout the day. If you experience a negative moment, you can call timeout, maybe. I mean, if you're at work, sometimes that's a little bit more difficult, but most of the time, you can call a timeout. And you can pull away from the situation that is causing you physical, mental, or emotional pain. And what I've learned from being a teacher for over 20 years, I think I'm moving into year 24, and having experiences with many people who have had emotional breakdowns, give yourself 30 to 60 minutes of timeout. That's how long it takes for the chemicals in your brain to go from the primitive part of your brain, the emotional part of your brain, the impulsive part of your brain, the animal brain, to switch back over to the calm, human, rational, what they call prefrontal cortex. Okay? Literally, you can time it anywhere from half an hour to an hour. Give yourself a timeout. Then, when your chemicals have switched back and your emotions have calmed down, then you can reflect. What went wrong in this situation, and how can I do it better next time? And if you want to raise it to a whole new level, so that's what you can do personally, but if you want to help other people, then you make an appointment to maybe talk with the person or people that situation didn't go well with. And if I can remember, which a lot of times I can't, on my YouTube channel, I gave a whole talk on how do you have difficult conversations with people. I gave tips for, because I actually came from, and this is actually not very uncommon, us old schooler families, we don't talk about stuff. You don't talk about your feelings. Go away. Buck up, Boo Bear. Right? That was very common. But now we also know that's very detrimental to not talk about stuff and to hide stuff. So there are people out there, lots of them, that have a hard time communicating or talking about things. So that's another way we can prevent pain. To talk about calmly and rationally what went wrong and how we can fix it. Okay? And if you need help with that, again, I'm going to try really hard to remember to put the link below on how to have difficult conversations with someone when they don't really seem to want to listen or communicate. All right, so physically we're going to do those things the doctors told us. Eat, sleep, eat well. get your sleep, exercise, all those good things. Mentally, we're gonna do our mental floss, 2 or 3, like maybe you do it like it's a cue. Sometimes we need physical cues. Do it when you're brushing your teeth. When you're brushing your teeth, think about, okay, you could use that as another way to do visualization. You could say, okay, as I'm brushing my teeth, I'm brushing away some of the negative things that have happened in the past 24 hours. Let me think about it. I'm brushing away this situation. I'm brushing away that situation. So that's another way that you could add reflection in your life. You can multitask. Or when you're in the shower, you wash away the dirt from the day, the BO. Just ask yourself, what was the dirt or BO yesterday, and what do I not want to be dirty or stinky today? So you can actually multitask. As you are physically getting clean, mentally get clean. And you do that through reflection and through script flipping, thinking about what you could do differently. Okay? And then, as you go throughout the day, you're going to try really hard to practice mindfulness. Mindfulness is like watching the clouds go by, or sitting, I see sometimes that we're in the Midwest. A lot of times, some people will sit in their garage and watch the traffic go by. Okay? That's what it means for our thoughts as well. Okay? So, I have found that in general, left brain people will get stuck like a broken record on negative thoughts. A lot of autism students do this sometimes, or they don't even have to be negative, but they just kind of get stuck like a merry-go-round or a record player. I find a lot of left brain, higher level, more analytical people do this. But then I also find that on the right side, really emotional people hold on to their emotions because they feel like if they don't feel, they don't feel alive, right? They have to go way up or way down, otherwise they just don't feel alive. So again, to me, if we can go in the middle, hang on to the thoughts, hang on to the emotions that are serving you well, have them sit next to you on the park bench, but then the thoughts and the emotions that aren't serving you well, or your emotions, let them drift by like clouds. Just say, oh yeah, I see it, there it goes. Or, sit in your garage and watch the cars go by. Not once have I ever seen someone get up from their garage and step in front of a car. That's like what we do with our thoughts and our emotions. We let them just run over us. Or, there's that hot coal scenario. We hang on to the hot coal even though it's burning and hurting us. Let it go. Practice letting it go. Now, I have found that left brain people especially, and right brain people with their emotions, have a very difficult time letting go. Now, in the past, I talked about how we don't want to have distractions in our life so that we can see and feel these thoughts and emotions that come up. Okay? But now, I'm going to sound like a hypocrite. I'm going to turn the other side of the coin, and I'm going to say this is where positive, healthy habits and hobbies can really help break the broken record. Okay, this is where distraction actually really works. And it's probably why we do it, right? Because it works. It takes our thoughts and our emotions off of the negative things that we don't want to feel and experience. But here's the difference. Make sure your thoughts and your habits are healthy, right? Get a hobby. When you find yourself hanging on to the coal or wanting to step in front of the car, turn around and go garden. Go fix your car in the garage. Go do whatever. Okay? And then practice your mental floss, that quiet time, that reflection. If you're one of those people who really hang on to your thoughts and your emotions, then you're going to want your reflection and mental floss time to be smaller. Okay, rather than, so I wrote highest possibility states, and it talks about opening up your subconscious shed. So rather than opening it up and letting all that shit fly out at you, you're just gonna open it like an edge. You're gonna reach your hand underneath. You're gonna take one little item, pull it out, and look at that. And you're only gonna do it for a couple minutes, and then you're gonna move on. You're gonna distract yourself with healthy habits, okay? Now, if you are more balanced in your thoughts and in your emotions, if you can be more objective, and that took me like 8 years, okay? So have patience with yourself. At the beginning, I was one who just opened it a little, stuck my hand underneath, see what was there, right? But now I can open up the whole shed door. And it's a lot more clean now because I've been doing my mental and emotional floss for 8 years now. And so now I can actually open up the whole shed door and go, oh, okay, this is kind of old, this is outdated. We're gonna get rid of that. Oh, this is good, we're gonna keep this in here. So how do we prevent pain? Number 1, education. Number 2, by being proactive. Physically, by doing those things the doctors have always told us, those healthy health habits. Eat, sleep, eat well, drink lots of water, all those kinds of things. And then we're gonna practice our mental floss, washing away the negativity and keeping the positivity, the things that are working for us, okay? And we're gonna do so with the amount that we're ready for where we are, okay? And now, the next thing is, how do you take care of and prevent emotional pain? How can you be retroactive and proactive when it comes to emotional pain? Well, number 1, if you actually take care of yourself physically and mentally, you'll find that your emotional health should be okay. But there are some people who do take care of their physical and mental health, and that is very strong. But their emotions seem pretty sad, even if they take care of their physical and emotional health. Where do we feel the most emotionally healthy? In my experience, we feel the most emotionally healthy when we're connected to people. And so people are taking care of their physical and mental health, and they're still kind of like sad. It's because they feel they don't have enough connections in their life. And to me, connections are like circuits, okay? So what you want to do is, if you're sad emotionally or whatever, your emotional health doesn't feel good, and it could be angry, it doesn't have to be sad. Maybe you're angry because past relationships broke boundaries with you or trust. And so a lot of people do this. They feel their boundaries or their trust was broken, and so they pull away and they build walls. And so in some aspects, it's a self-fulfilling prophecy. They built up walls around them so nobody can get to them, but now they're lonely because they're disconnected from people around them. And I've definitely done that, And some people enjoy alone time. I'm an only child, and I have like a lot of medical issues, and I'm kind of an introvert, and it depends on the day. Sometimes I'm 50% introvert. Some days I'm 90% introvert. But I have found I always need at least some deep connection throughout my day. And if I don't have that, I get sad. And there has been in the past where I've created connections with people that hurt me, that grew my fear, that grew my guilt, that grew my insecurity. Okay? So the first thing you need to do is you need to analyze. Are you one of those people who pulled yourself away and built walls around you? And if that's what you did, why? Okay? Are there people in your life that grew fear, insecurity, guilt? Okay? Or did you participate in things that you wanted to hide? And so you built walls around yourself so no one could get in and see what you were doing to yourself, either because you were hurting yourself or participating in things that hurt you or others around you, or people would judge you for what you're doing, even if it doesn't hurt you or the others around you. So what you need to do when you're participating in any physical activity, any mental activity, when you are connecting with any person, again, I use these 3 questions, and I hope that they are helpful for you to help guide me. Okay? So that is, how does this activity, how does this thought, how does this feeling, how does this person make me feel in the moment when I'm around them? Or it, right? And then, how does it make me feel over time? Because again, I've said there are things that make us feel wonderful in the moment, but over time make us feel unhappy or bring us lower, okay, or less functional over time. And then there's other things that are difficult in the moment, like exercise, eating well, but over time, you can see the benefits. It's making you more healthy, it's giving you more endurance, it's making you more functional over time. And then there are some things that are like positive, right? Positive in the moment, positive over time. And the opposite could be true. Negative in the moment and negative over time. Which kind of goes into like this quadrant or matrix thing that I put in my book to help people kind of self-diagnose where they are. What quadrant are you in? Are you in negative, positive? Are you in positive, negative? Are you in positive, or negative, negative? So when you're thinking about your experiences with either physical experiences, with people, with situations, with thoughts, with feelings, how does it make you feel in the moment and over time? Does it give you more energy or less energy? And does it make you more or less functional over time? And then a bonus question, how do your experiences impact the people around you? Which kind of leads me into my next piece of advice, if you will. We are electromagnetic beings. You know, that's, I think, what some people call spiritual beings. We're vibrational beings, and science and spirituality are starting to see things more eye to eye. Scientists are starting to study our hearts, and they're realizing our hearts and our brains are actually electromagnetic. And our heart, I don't know the percentage, and I don't know if you can even accurately measure it. Maybe you can. But our heart sends out an electromagnetic signal. So if you can kind of picture us like instruments or tuning forks, how we feel literally gets put out in the field around us. And if someone is next to us, our tunes are either going to harmonize or clash, and whichever tune, song, vibration is the loudest is what the other people are going to auto-tune to. So I've been really practicing trying to hold my positivity and good thoughts and good mood, even if people around me might seem drained or low or unenergetic, and that's really hard for me. It is so easy to auto-tune into a lower state. I swear it's harder to stay tuned into a higher state. But I literally do this by creating only positive music, and if I'm finding it especially difficult, I literally put on my noise-canceling headphones and crank that shit up. And then I sing, and people around me get annoyed sometimes, you know, because I have on my noise canceling. My youngest son makes fun of me for it all the time. He's like, you have your noise canceling headphones on, and then you just sing really loud. And that reminds me of the movie Elf, right? The best way to spread Christmas cheer is to sing loud for all to hear. I mean, why do people go to rock concerts and things? Because they're literally tuning up. They're tuning in, okay? So we're spiritual vibrational beings. We send out a signal to the electromagnetic field, and then guess what? We attract or repel things that are a match, okay? We attract or repel things that are a match. This is what people call the law of attraction, magnetism, okay? So if our thoughts and our feelings are negative, we're going to attract more negative. We're going to look for more negative in the world. But if our thoughts and our feelings are more positive, that's what we're going to attract. That's what we're going to see in the world, and that's what we're going to experience. So that's why it's really important to do, not only take care of your physical health, but to take care of your mental health by doing your mental floss, right? And if that's hard for you to do, again, a tune-up is what we can do ourselves, and an overhaul is where we call in other wraparound supports, like counselors, psychiatrists, doctors, nutritionists, physical therapists, right? Fitness trainers. We call out and we bring them to us. And then so to prevent pain, we take care of our physical health. We do our mental floss. We make connections with other people, good connections that alleviate our fear, that, forgive us of guilt or let go of our guilt, and that build up our self-confidence. And then we ask ourselves our questions. How does this make me feel in the moment and over time? Does it give me more energy or less energy? And does it make me and others around me more or less functional? And then, if the answer is yes, we keep doing what we're doing. If the answer is no, then we say, do I need a tune-up? Do I just need to adjust something myself? Like incorporate some time for mental floss, practice positivity. Do I need to just go to the gym? Or do I need an overhaul where I need to call in some wraparound services? Do I need a fitness trainer? Do I need a nutritionist? Do I need to go see a doctor and check my blood levels and vitamin levels? Okay? Sometimes we just need a timeout and we back away from the situation so we can just give ourselves time to truly analyze what we do need and how we're feeling. And then if the tune-up or the overhaul didn't work, then we might do a trade-in. This isn't working for me. I need to do something totally different. I hope that this talk has helped someone today so that you can use your own tips, strategies for preventing pain or overcoming pain to first help yourself and then help those around you. Because now more than ever, the world needs those tips and strategies, and it needs you. Peace and blessings. If you would like to become trauma informed, or you've experienced trauma yourself and you would like to learn more about it, please check out the resources that I have listed below this video. The first one is The Psychology of Post-Traumatic Stress Disorder by Joel. I can't say the name, Joel. It's a 5-minute video by TED Ed. Then there's another TED Talk, How Childhood Trauma Affects Health Across a Lifetime by Nadine Burke-Harris, who is considered a physician who is an expert on childhood trauma. If you just have a little bit of time, like 2 minutes, there's the biology of toxic stress and how it affects your body. And then also there's a link to the full documentary Resilience. So if you have like an hour and a half to 2 hours and you really want to see the full extent of how trauma in childhood or any other time can affect people over time, I would really highly check out that movie, that documentary. In addition, I've also included the link below on how to have difficult conversations with people. Peace and blessings.